Welcome back to another episode on the Bleep Bloop podcast. I am your host, Retro Lag. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you for listening to my podcast. That is more than enough. It doesn't hurt to follow the podcast as well as share it with your friends. If you are a return listener, I always want to say thank you for your continued support. On this episode, I want to tackle the question, are reviewers stealing the fun? Now, the short answer, no, they're not. They're not stealing the fun. Because in the reality of it, it is up to us to decide if we enjoy playing something, if we want to play something, if we dislike it, and why we dislike it. We can share that opinion with others, or we can keep it to ourselves. But a reviewer does not do just that. They do many things. You know, at one point, I was going to be a reviewer, and I looked at what are the key elements that I had to, the guidelines I essentially had to follow in order to write or publish good reviews. And it boils down to, number one, you got to play the game or watch whatever you're watching. In this case, we're playing a game. You have to write an intro as well as a synopsis and a conclusion. You have to identify your likes and dislikes, but you have to go a step further. You want to talk about characters, environment, the setting, the pace, the story, and overall. But you also have to be specific. Additionally, when you're creating video, you might include imagery, graphics, music, videography, because maybe you're publishing on a blog. If it's audio, you want to have key details from the game and articulate it in a way that it paints the picture for the listener. Hand in hand with this are those examples that do all of this for you, the reviewer. Then you got to make a good conclusion and then give it a rating. Now, some things to consider is that the reviewer may have a bias, and that bias may be good or bad. They may really like a series, so they're going to probably lean more towards favoring that game and looking at why they like it. Now, if they're a good reviewer, they will take an unbiased approach and point out those deficiencies. Next come expectations. If we've been anticipating a game for a very, very long time, then there is going to be expectations. Well, the last one really set the tone, so I hope this one is really, really good. And another thing is confirmation of whatever our opinions or assumptions may be. Whether they are confirming what we thought to be true, or it is disproving what we thought to be true. Now, some reviewers that have been in this business for a very, very long time actually get review codes quite early, and they're able to get those reviews out. The thing I kind of dislike about reviewers getting it early is because what that does is that puts a preconceived notion of what to expect in a game for somebody that may have been considering buying that game. Now, this actually sometimes can either favor sales or not be favorable. And for a marketer, that is actually bad. I want you to favor my game. Now, could it be argued that some reviewers may be sponsored by certain companies, therefore it is encouraged, not told, but encouraged to lean on the more favorable side? I would say possibly, especially if that reviewer creates additional content. Maybe they're a live streamer, maybe they do YouTube videos, whatever the case may be. But back to my original answer. No, reviewers are not stealing the fun. For me, this is why I think that. Reviewers are gamers. They've been gamers. They loved playing them from whenever they started all the way up to and continuing as a reviewer or someone that is further along in the industry. Next, I don't think that reviewers steal the fun because it's up to me to formulate my own opinion. If it's a Metroidvania or a platformer, I've played enough to know what I like in those genres of games. But if it's a JRPG or maybe it is a farming simulator game, I'm probably going to lean on the subject matter experts because they have played those games. They have experienced a multitude of those games, so they know good and bad. They know a clone versus something original. And at the end of the day, I go back to my first point, which was I'm a gamer. So I'm gonna play something and formulate my own opinions. So I say all that to say, when you're reading something from a reviewer, take it with a grain of salt. If they're a good reviewer, they will point out deficiencies, but when pointing out those deficiencies, if they are a good reviewer, they point them out from the development aspect with either very detailed understanding of the development process or adequate enough understanding to know that it is not a simple process. For example, I played a game and I said, while I love this game and I loved everything about it, I pointed out what I loved about it. I said the one thing that is hindering me from wanting to continue to play it or diving deeper is the mapping of the controls. The developer reached back out to me and said, well, you know, we did update to a patch or something along those lines, and said, I hope you try it again. And it wasn't me taking a shot at them, and it wasn't them getting overly defensive. That, in my opinion, is how you address criticism of something instead of this is trash because fill in the blank. That's not healthy, constructive criticism. And I would venture to say that there are creators that assume that reviewing is easy. It is not easy. It takes, like anything, it takes repetition and getting good at and proficient at to be a better reviewer. So no, reviewers are not stealing the fun. If you feel like that, then I think what is suggestive may help is just going out and trying a game on your own without any influence. This is a shorter episode. I want to say thank you for tuning in to the Bleep Bloop podcast. Like always, make sure you follow. It does help if you leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. You can check out my links at linktree/RETR0LAG, or you can follow me on Twitter at RealRetroLag, RETR0LAG, and check me out on YouTube, Retro Plays Games. All right, and until the next one, y'all, peace!